This is Talking Football with Two Bald Guys. I'm Adam.
I'm Tony.
Tony, you know that's a fight song. We've been doing this a bunch. Do you have any idea whose fight song that was?
Man, I don't recognize it right off the top of my head. I'm going to take a wild guess. Is it Arizona State?
It's not Arizona
Okay.
State. There'd be good reason to do Arizona
Right,
State.
because that was
All right.
yeah.
All right. I did one of the semifinal games, and you can probably cut out Notre Dame because we all know.
We know Notre Dame's. That's not Texas. So I'm going to go with that. Is that Penn State?
It is Penn State. It is Penn State. I can't do Ohio State.
No, I don't blame you.
Big Michigan fan can't do Ohio State. That is Penn State. They are getting ready to play on Thursday night against Notre Dame.
That's correct.
All right. We'll get into all that. We'll then talk about some NFL football and their playoffs. But first, we're talking football to Bald Guys. We are part of Elevation 5280 Sports. That's E5280sports.com. We've talked about it so many times. Check us out there. But also check out the other pods, it's great listening.
Yeah, you don't have to go to the website. They have a Facebook page. There's other options out there. They post our podcast amongst all the other good podcasts they have out there. So Elevation Sport 5280 Sports. Find our Facebook page. You can get the podcast
Good
there
stuff
too.
there. We don't tape ours, but people do tape theirs, so you get to see some live stuff there too. And then also Happy Nuts. We've been partnering with Happy Nuts here for the last few months or something like that. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you to all those that have purchased stuff. So we appreciate that, using our code 2BaldGuys20 and get yourself 20% off. And, we appreciate the business.
Yeah,
so
we have
Happy
to
Nuts.
go get Happy Nuts. I've been using it a bunch. We just went on a cruise. It worked out a lot. So it's great stuff and reasonably priced. So go get it.
Yeah, I have no complaints.
No complaints. All right. Where do we begin? First of all, Happy New Year, Tony.
Happy New Year, man.
Yeah,
Happy New Year. You went on a cruise.
I went on a cruise.
So that was good. I just kind of hung around the house and didn't do a whole lot. And, so watch some football for sure. Definitely.
Really?
Watch a little bit of football.
So I was on the ship watching some football, and it was crazy because it's on a big screen because we're outside the top of – you ever been to a cruise?
Yep.
The top deck, it had a big screen.
Yep.
It would kick off every once in a while, though.
Oh, no.
And it happened a couple times during NFL games when there was a play happening – near the end zone.
Of
so that was a little bit interesting. But we got to see that. The playoffs were going on. We're getting into that a little bit. But I was in Honduras one day, and the Michigan game came on.
Okay.
And I was sitting in sunny weather in Honduras. It was not sunny in the first quarter of that game.
No.
Bama decided they didn't want to hold on the ball for 3 plays out of the 4, and Michigan took advantage. And they went and beat Bama. They started the year January 1st, beating Bama, and they ended the year December 31st, beating Bama.
I didn't even think about that.
Somebody said it's probably the first team ever to beat Bama twice in a calendar year, which would make sense because they probably haven't.
The odds of them playing.
It'd be like one of those. It's like the Bears have beaten the Raiders 7 consecutive times on Friday nights. And you're like, wouldn't have they really
weird
played?
stat.
But
that's funny.
Michigan didn't play like pretty much half their team. Bama had some guys sit out, but they had Jalen Milroe, and Ryan Williams and a lot of their defensive guys, and Michigan still beat them. So, like I said before, shut up, SEC.
Yeah, so you look at the players that Michigan had out, almost that entire defense.
Yeah,
that defensive line, all your studs, Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. Your
Will
linebacker, Will Johnson been out. That Michigan defense was basically the second team.
Yes.
Second team.
It was. I didn't know half those guys out there.
And if you look at Alabama's players out, you said it, they had a few guys out, but not nearly as much as Michigan. And that Michigan defense second team caused a lot of problems for Alabama.
They did. They put pressure on it, and they exposed Milroe again.
Yes.
They did the exact same thing they did to him last year.
Yeah. So, listen, coaching is a big part of things. So if you look at Michigan's strategy, they have things figured out a little bit on that. Give Sherrone Moore a ton of credit. That guy's done a great job. I know the season wasn't what you wanted, but
it wasn't.
But he did a lot with that defense.
He had some times.
Wink Martindale.
Mark Wheatman. There were some times you started to question, and I need to see more of it from Sherrone because earlier in the season you're like, what are we really doing?
Correct.
But he has got some guys coming in. The Bryce Underwood kids coming in, the number 1 quarterback recruits coming in, and they got Justice Haynes, which is running back from Alabama. Yep. They got a bunch of other guys coming in. So I think they have the ability to be really good. So let's see how he does. But they went out and they beat a Bama team that was like, oh, we won. We
should have been in the playoffs.
We should be in the playoffs. We'd be favored. They were 17-point favorites on Michigan. Yep. And I understand why.
Well,
and Michigan goes and beats them.
With all those guys Michigan had out.
Not only did Michigan beat Alabama, a little bit later in that day or the next day, I can't remember, Illinois goes and beats South Carolina.
Right. And I don't know the number of players that were out for those games, but South Carolina's quarterback was in there. So listen, SEC guys, and I'm starting to come around to the SEC because Oklahoma's in there, but you can't run your mouth and say how much better the SEC is and then go out and lose your bowl games when you don't have you have just as many or more starters playing than the other teams. They're only losing to Big Ten teams, I think.
Well, yeah,
that's the other thing.
That's the other thing. But it's like last year when Georgia beat Florida State, and Florida State played nobody, not to mention the quarterback was out, and Georgia played like their team, and they go out and say, "Well, this is why we should have been in the playoffs." But then you hear on the other side, "Well, they lost games." It's the annual SEC when they win bowl games is because it's superior. When they lose bowl games is because they don't care.
There was something. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's not worth it.
You don't think? I mean, listen. I kind of liked how Michigan played. They had guys that were hungry playing out there, and they took care of Bama. I mean, they gave up 13 points. 13 points.
Correct.
And their offense didn't do anything. Like, they did enough. They took advantage of the turnovers, but they really didn't do anything. So you can't even say that Michigan controlled the clock because they didn't.
Their defense played better than Bama's defense, and that was a second-team defense out there.
It was.
Say what you want, but
it was.
You either have really good guys coming back, or Wink Martindale's pretty darn good. And I think he is really good.
I think he got into his rhythm.
Really good.
And it goes to show this, and now we'll get into the playoffs, is look what he did against Ohio State's offense. And you could say, well, Ohio State tried to run the ball, but Will Howard threw more passes in that game than he did against Tennessee and I think maybe Oregon. Okay, that defense shut down Ohio State.
The big play.
They kept the big play. What have I told you? And there's more schematics to what I'm seeing. I understand that I'm not a defense coordinator. I said Michigan has made Ohio State drive the ball down the field consistently. There's been some bend and not break times. They have given up some touchdowns. And they don't allow them to have the big play.
Correct.
And they've won 4 straight times. What did Tennessee do against Ohio State?
First 2 passing plays were huge.
They allowed big plays. What did Oregon
Jeremiah
do?
Smith's killing everybody.
What did Oregon do?
Big plays.
Gave up big plays. Michigan gave them the blueprint on how to shut down Ohio State, and the teams aren't doing it. Either they're so bullheaded that they're like, we don't want to be like Michigan, or they can't do it. And which one is it?
Well, I would like to think they just don't have the guys Michigan does, because as a coach, if you see something, why are you watching game film if you're not going to take stuff away from the game film? Because Jeremiah Smith is a fantastic player for Ohio State, the wide receiver.
Really, really good.
But if you already know this and you saw what Michigan did, I think he had a pretty good game against Michigan, but they didn't get the big plays. It was the dink and dunk, make him go down the field, and they're going to make a mistake, or they're going to, you're going to get a holding penalty, or you're going to get a sack and put him behind the chains. That's what the blueprint's out there.
We like to say that. I like to say it a lot about Ohio State. Make them drive, and that's how the way you beat them. But most teams are going to be like that. You can't. Most teams in a game, if you make them do long drive after long drive after long drive, they can't get it done consistently.
Right. Oregon, I thought might be a little bit different because Gabriel would throw 50.
I was shocked.
I don't know what happened. People are saying the bye week is a problem now because all 4 teams that had the bye lost. And I don't get that because Notre Dame had a bye week too because they didn't play in a conference championship.
Correct.
They've looked pretty darn good
So did
too.
Ohio State. Ohio State
had that bye week. Like Ohio State, Tennessee had a bye week as well, like before they played Ohio State. So don't give me this bye week stuff. Don't give me this rust. I think, and maybe the first time I ever said, I think Ryan Day and his staff made the right adjustments from that first game they played against Oregon.
Right.
And in Oregon, you won the first game. So what adjustments are you really making? Like you scored a bunch of points the first time.
So now the thing with Ohio State, and I thought Tennessee's defense was better than it ended up playing against Ohio State. Texas's defense is good. Texas's defense is good. I know Arizona State scored late on them, but for the most part, they had Arizona State shut down.
Scatterboo guy is pretty good.
He is good.
First half was rough.
Yeah. And
then he turned it on that second half. He threw a touchdown pass.
Yeah.
He had a touchdown run. He was just tough to bring down, and he had a big, long pass play. Arizona State should have won that game.
They did, and they had Texas 4th and 13 in that overtime, and they let the guy get behind him for the touchdown.
Well, they blitzed a bunch of people. Nobody got to Quinn Ewers, and Golden was wide open.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing I want to talk about, too, is Ohio State whipped Oregon. Whipped them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, where's the outcry of Oregon didn't belong?
No, because they went undefeated all year.
You know what I'm saying?
And they won the Big Ten.
They talked about all those first-round games getting blowouts, right? SMU, Indiana, Tennessee, and who was the other one? I'm drawing a blank now all of a sudden. Who did Texas beat? Oh, no, Texas game is against Clemson. Okay.
Clemson.
But the SMU, Indiana, and Tennessee, they're all like, they don't belong there. They got blown out. Oregon got blown out just as bad.
20 points.
20 points. And it was kind of 21. Worse than that.
Correct.
Too, because it was like 31-0.
It was worse than that.
So, yes, I'm not trying to say Oregon doesn't belong. They 100%
No, you're
belong.
saying that the other team blowouts you can't use that as a factor saying they don't belong because you have a blowout here in the quarterfinals.
I think that goes back. Remember when I talked about what Troy Aikman said about there's been teams in the Super Bowl that had gotten blown out and they belonged?
Right.
I mean, Oregon belonged. They went undefeated. They did everything they needed to do. They went undefeated, won the Big Ten. They were the only undefeated team in the country.
Correct.
And they got blown out. So they don't belong? Because that's what you said last round. Right. It doesn't change. It doesn't change one round later.
Well, and you can go back to
especially if the first game.
Go back to the 4-team playoff. There were teams that got blown. Michigan State getting blown out. I mean, you have those kind of games. There were blowouts in that too. So there's going to be blowouts. There's going to be blowouts here and there. So that I agree with you. I was kind of on the same page. I don't want to see blowouts in the first round. Nobody wants to see that. You want to see good football. Like the Texas-Arizona State game was a good fun game to watch.
But outside of the Texas-Arizona State game, what game's been really great?
Great? Nah.
I mean, Clemson kind of made it close against
Texas. They came back.
But outside of that, what's been great?
Nothing really.
Notre Dame handled Georgia.
Penn State
handled Boise State. And obviously Ohio State whipped Oregon.
Ohio State's beating people up.
So if you talked about, we've had 8 games so far, and there's been one really good game.
One really good game.
And one kind of close game.
Yeah. That's what it's going to be, I think.
Because the Notre Dame-Georgia game really wasn't close.
No.
I mean, it was kind of.
Georgia never really show that they were going to be able to come back and win that game.
Do you think Georgia wins that game with Carson Beck's there?
No, I still don't think so.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame wins that game.
I think they probably were better off with Stockton in there, maybe. I don't know, because Carson Beck's been up and down.
I just think I told you I was never on the Georgia's a great team this year. Now all these teams are very good. Don't get me wrong, they're very good. But I was never on that boat of I didn't think Georgia's 100% not the number 2 team in the country. Probably obviously we see that now, but going into it, I said they're not the number 2 team in the country.
But when you win the SEC,
I understand that. What you're gonna get. Then we get back to the whole the strength of schedule. Well, what decides strength of schedule? A bunch of voters.
Correct. So the rankings and all that stuff.
And they're putting so much into the SEC that it just looks like they are great.
Because if you lose to an SEC team, that doesn't hurt you as bad as if you lost to a MAC team or something like that.
I mean, the Big 12 champion went toe-to-toe with Texas.
Should have won that game.
And they went to overtime in Texas just like Georgia did.
Yeah, they should have won that game.
So what the team that the Big 12 that they were beating up on each other? I mean, I agree the SEC is probably a little bit better.
Yeah,
but do we really know? Do we really know?
We don't. Because Arizona State don't give up a freaking touchdown on 4th and 13 and you win that game.
Correct.
And of course there's that targeting call, but I don't.
And then the Texas guy missed 2 field goals. So I'm happy because that targeting call wasn't called that the Texas guy missed the field goal. But yeah, I mean, they went toe-to-toe with them. Arizona State's given us the best game in a loss so far.
And they won the Big 12.
People were trying to say maybe the Big 12 doesn't even deserve to be in the tournament.
No, Arizona State it started a little rough for Arizona State.
It did. It 100%
but they fought back. They made changes, whatever they had to do. So should Texas be worried going against now a freaking juggernaut in Ohio State who's looked unbeatable?
I mean, 100%, yeah. But that goes back to it that you have to go back or you're making a call to Michigan, right? If I'm Texas, I'm calling Michigan.
Hey, wink.
Yeah.
What do we do?
What was so effective? Like, give us some ideas. And if I'm Wink, I'm 100% giving it up.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean,
that's your rival.
When I was coaching baseball in Tennessee, and I made it to a regional game against a team that I wasn't familiar with, I was calling coaches in that area, and I found some coaches that were in the district that they were in, which normally you're kind of buddies with your district, that were giving it up. They didn't like that team. They were giving it up.
Yep.
I tell you, if Texas called at Michigan, Michigan's giving it up.
Wink Martindale knows how to beat Ohio State.
Michigan right now, in the way way they're built right now, knows how to beat Ohio State.
Yeah. So you got Ohio State with these explosive wide receivers. You got Bama with an explosive wide receiver. Michigan has figured out whatever defense they're running, it's keeping those guys
working
for not 60-yard pass plays.
And it's against I don't even know who the cornerbacks were for Michigan in that game. Because I don't know.
It wasn't your top guys.
I really there was one defensive guy out there that I recognized.
But that was a second-team defense.
It was
talent-wise,
it was pretty good. I mean, obviously you have to have the dudes to go cover those guys, but I keep seeing this. They're bracketing the receivers and all that stuff, right. and then you got to have guys that can cover the tight ends. If you're going to bracket or in a sense double team the receivers, you have to be able to get. But then at the same time, Michigan was able to get pressure with their front four.
That helps too. And I think Texas could do that.
Yeah, I do.
Because Texas defense, like you said, I think is better than Oregon and better than Tennessee, which I thought Tennessee's were a little bit.
I thought it'd be better too.
But if you don't get pressure, they're going to throw it up to Jeremiah Smith, right. and he's going to burn you if you don't figure it out quickly.
So on another note, and a little bit different, before we start to really talk about these games that are coming up here on Thursday and Friday, Indiana now. Does your thought change on Indiana right now? Because you didn't think they were great, okay? But their 2 losses now are against the 2 teams that look maybe the best in the country.
And they played closer with Notre Dame than Georgia did.
Right. Now, there was a couple touchdowns late, but yeah.
Does it change? I still don't think – I never said they didn't belong. I don't think
I know you didn't.
I just thought that they might be overrated.
Right.
I still think they're a little bit overrated, but they did play well against Notre Dame, and Ohio State's just looking really good right now.
I mean,
I have not been high on Ohio State a whole lot
because
they lose to Oregon, the close one, and then their schedule wasn't that tough, and then they lose to Michigan,
right?
And so you're like, but then they come out and just blow.
So you go back to Indiana now, okay, right? Mm-hmm. They lost to Ohio State, and they lost to Notre Dame, which rightfully so. Those 2 teams were better than them, and they struggled with Michigan. But now all of a sudden, Michigan, beat Ohio State and beat Bama. And maybe Indiana getting by them in that time. True. I mean, maybe Indiana, they just played 2 of the better teams, obviously, in the country. They, at the worst, they played 2 of the top 4.
Well, for sure. Yeah, no. Notre Dame, that loss to Northern Illinois sparked something in them.
Yeah, that was.
Because their defense has been lights out right now. Okay, so I'll come off my Indiana. I still think that they were a little overrated, but they have – you made a good point. They've played the 2 of the top 4 teams in the country.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah. All right, so Thursday night, we're taping this Wednesday. It'll probably come out Thursday. Thursday night, so tonight, if you're listening to it on Thursday, Notre Dame plays Penn State. At the Orange Bowl down here in Miami, Florida. It's going to be a little bit chilly for a Florida game because we live in Florida, and it is like you walked over today and you had a toboggan hat on, and we're both in sweatshirts. You're in shorts. I am not. I refuse to turn the heat on in my house.
My heat will not come on until
do that. I will sleep in sweatshirts.
Correct.
Before we do that.
Correct.
So it's going to be different game in Florida, but both these teams are northern teams, so I don't think that's a huge deal for them.
And the weather hasn't been a factor
really
yet.
Notre Dame has looked really good, obviously, in beating
Indiana
and Georgia. Penn State's had the easier run. They beat SMU and they beat Boise State, but they did a pretty good job on Genty. Genty did get over 100 yards, but they kept him under 150.
Yeah, what did we say? 120.
But they showed some of his runs that he had. And they were tough runs. So those people are like, "Oh, Genty couldn't do it against a great team. Stop it."
He had a couple of fumbles, which is unorthodox.
But just stop.
No, he had a bad day and went for 106.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Against a really good Penn State defense.
And kept him, somewhat in the game.
Yeah.
James Franklin hasn't James Franklin the game yet.
And
he really actually didn't even do it in the rig. There was the one drive, maybe you could say,
against Ohio State on the goal line, 4 straight times right in the middle of that defense. That was a James Franklin moment.
That was a James Franklin moment. But outside of that, he's done a pretty good job of staying out of that.
He makes worse decisions.
Yeah, he does. I think this game's a toss-up. I really do. I think both teams are playing well.
Low scoring.
I think Marcus Freeman's a really good coach. Yes, I think James Franklin is to a point. I don't love the guy. I think he's a little bit of a whiner. Marcus Freeman is, I think is really good. But I think this is a toss-up, and it's going to be interesting to see. It could. I'm thinking a low-scoring game. These defenses are pretty good.
2 really good defenses. Neither one of them lights it up through the air. Penn State's going to run the ball. They got that tight end. There's kind of a difference.
Tyler Warren.
He is a beast.
Yep.
But Riley Leonard's been playing well. I think it's low scoring. Who knows? This thing might be a shootout, but I'm thinking low scoring for sure.
What's the over-under on that game? Do you see it?
Jeez, I didn't even bring my glasses.
Let's see if I can pull it up.
The over-under is probably, I'm saying if it's over 50, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I was thinking 40s. The over-under
44.5
is 44.5.
Notre Dame favored by 1.5. That's pick 'em.
That is a pick 'em.
44.5. That's probably pretty darn close.
The money line is Penn State even. So, I mean, like, that's just how close this game is.
Not even Vegas thinks.
44.5. I'm going
22-22. 0.5.
Well, 22-22 would be the under. 23-22 puts you over. I'm going I'm 17-13, like 2017, somewhere in there. I think he goes under. I think Penn State finds a way to win this game.
If Penn State can grind it out with their two really good running backs and get that tight end involved like they have, the 10 points might be all you need here. But Riley Leonard, I think, is the difference. If he plays like he has been playing,
he has played well.
He's played well.
We weren't sure when he came to Notre Dame,
right? And he had his up and downs,
but he's played well.
If Riley Leonard can get out and run and get outside the pocket and make some things happen, I think Penn State could be in some trouble. If they contain him and they run the ball and control the clock, they can win this thing 13-10 or something like that.
They really can. What's your pick? I'm picking Penn State. What are you doing?
You are picking Penn State. I'm going to go with the Nittany Lions too. I think it's their time.
Okay.
I think James Franklin, he's done enough the last few years. He's finally got his team. Go get it. Nothing against, Marcus Freeman. I like him a lot.
This might be his best chance.
This is best, 100%.
I mean, well, first of all, he hasn't been able to get in the playoffs period. So
true.
It's because he can't get by Ohio State and Michigan. So, but at the same time, you look at this, and this is what somebody said, all four of these teams wouldn't be in the semifinals if it wasn't for the expanded playoffs.
True. Texas might be the only one that would have had a chance.
Georgia would have been in for sure. Oregon would have been in for sure. Let's see, Boise and who had the other
Boise wouldn't have been in.
No, Boise would not have been in.
I think Penn State would have got in, wouldn't they?
Arizona State wouldn't have got in. Oh, I don't know.
Or Texas. The runner-up was Texas. The only losses to Georgia. They put two SEC teams.
Oh, Notre Dame would have been in. I take that back. Yeah. Notre Dame would have been in. And then it would have been
maybe
between
Texas.
Penn State, Ohio State, and Texas. So maybe they would have been in. But yeah.
But Ohio State wouldn't have been in, I don't think. Because they didn't even make their conference championship game. I think Penn State or Texas at least made their conference championship game. They would have been in. But Ohio State
tough would have been.
State.
Yeah, that would have been tough for that.
Texas would probably would have got the nod.
Plus it's SEC, so it would have been Texas. I bet you it would have been Texas, Georgia, Oregon, and Notre Dame.
Yep, that would have been the four. But yeah, I think the 12-team playoff for Penn State, like this is what the 12-team playoff is for. A team like Penn State who loses one or two games every year to the same freaking team. Finally gets a chance to go in there and let's play some other teams and let's show everybody how good of a team we are. We just can't beat Ohio State or Michigan.
And now they could get to the championship game and have to play Ohio State.
I don't want to see that. I honestly don't want to see that. I think they beat them if they play them a second time though.
All right. The second game is Ohio State and Texas. It's in Dallas. Now
Friday. It's
a Friday night. It is at Jerry's World, so it is in Dome, but the weather is supposed to be nasty there.
Really?
So there is some rumors that if it's too bad, they might push it into Saturday and be like a precursor to the NFL playoffs.
Okay.
Like a noon
just
game or
because
whatever.
Of the safety.
This is like supposed to be snow, rain, ice, depending on how cold it is.
Really?
So like it could get nasty, and Dallas isn't really meant for that stuff.
I was gonna say.
But the game is inside, so it's not going to affect the game at all. It's just if they play it then or not. Ohio State obviously has looked like a world beater, but they've done this before. Texas has slipped by both their games. Well, I mean, they didn't really slip by Clemson. They held off Clemson. They slip by Arizona State. Quinn Ewers did play better.
He's looking better.
The defense looked really good for most of the game against Arizona State, and then the running back kind of weared him out. But here's the thing. Henderson and Judkins are good running backs, but I think Scadaboo is better.
Yes, 100%.
Now, I think the Ohio State receivers are better. Now, if you go to quarterback, though, that quarterback for Arizona State is kind of impressive, too.
He's a freshman.
Yeah, and Will Howard really is just benefiting, I think, from really good receivers.
He just throws it up to Jeremiah Smith.
Because we talked about this when they played Tennessee. Some of the throws he made weren't great throws. It's just like, here, you beat your guy.
Yep.
Now, it's smart.
Well, yeah.
Because it's the same way when you underthrow guys and they come back through and get the pass interference call.
Right.
It's smart.
Yep.
But is it like, again, can Will Howard win you a game when he needs to? And I don't think he can.
He hasn't had to yet.
He hasn't had to yet. Not one time. The one time he needed to, he didn't do it against Ohio State. I mean, against Michigan. And against Oregon, it was a boneheaded play at the end of the game.
He threw a couple picks against Michigan.
Right. Bad ones too.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you what,
if
Texas can't stop the big plays, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Correct.
Because it could get ugly real quick again.
That is literally the secret. You cannot let Ohio State make big plays. They don't run the ball that great. No. Will Howard's not going to beat you with his arm by, hitting wide receivers and crazy pass plays. He's not going to do it.
No, he doesn't.
So make him beat you. Stop the run. Don't give up the big pass play.
If Texas can do it with their front four, which they have a pretty good front four.
Good guys.
Listen, I know Michigan, again, only went 8-5 this year, but their middle two guys were maybe the best in the country. But like we talked about, Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, they were really good, and that helped. If Texas can get the pressure on with four guys, they win this game. Because that's what Michigan did. They didn't get to Will Howard all that often, but they made him uncomfortable.
That's all you got to do.
And Will Howard is not the guy. And they came up and laid a whooping on him a couple times. Yeah. And
threw a pick 10 yards away from the end zone.
Right.
I mean, and
it made their play calling scared because they were a little afraid of Michigan's defense. If Texas can do that, they can win this game. But Ohio State has looked really good, and I hate to say it, they have looked really, really good in their two games.
Their defense has probably looked better than I thought.
Yeah,
it would play. It held Tennessee down. It held Oregon offense that was explosive to 21 points total. I like that. Ohio State defense is probably impressing me a little bit more, and that Texas offense I don't know. I feel like they struggle to get points, and they're just not that explosive. It takes them a while.
It takes them a while. They can't afford to get down big early,
no.
But most teams can't. You know what I'm saying? Because Ohio State's defense is good enough to not allow you to come back like that. So
Texas has the guys.
Texas has the guys to hold them down. It'd be good for them to score early or first.
Get up on.
You know what I'm saying? Because if Ohio State goes down, boom, boom, and scores, and then all of a sudden you go 3 and out or two, just one first down to go out, Ohio State can score right again. Yeah. And listen, the over/under is 53.5 here. I think.
Gosh, that's right.
I still think that
27-23, which gets you right there at 50. That's about all.
I think this might be lower scoring than people think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because Ohio State can be shut down. Penn State and Michigan State shut down. But
held down.
Well, Michigan's really shut down their offense, but Penn State did too. I'm going to try and reverse this though. I'm picking Ohio State.
Okay. Just from the way that
I'm going
reverse because you're cheering for them.
I'm not cheering for them
because you picked them.
Yes,
they're going to lose.
Yes,
I do that with my Raiders sometimes.
Yes,
I'm going to root for this team.
I am not. Do not confuse this. I am 100% not rooting for Ohio State.
But you think they could win?
But I'm picking it because I want it to be wrong.
It's a home game.
I want it to be wrong.
It's a home game for Texas. Let's be honest.
It's
in Dallas.
But Ohio State's going to travel.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Their fans are crazy. Texas has to make Ohio State one-dimensional, meaning Will Howard has to throw the ball a lot. And what you just said, get up 10-zip, right? Take Judkins and Henderson out of the equation, make Will Howard throw the ball to go score points, and you will win this game as long as you don't let Jeremiah Smith beat you for 60-yard touchdown passes. There's two things you got to do, and you got to get pressure on Howard, and you got to come out and score. They got to have special teams might be a factor in this one.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw that in Arizona against Arizona State, special teams. So I don't know. This is a tough one. I don't want Ohio State to win, but I hate Texas even more.
I don't hate anybody as much as I hate Ohio State.
I'm going to do what you did. Since Ohio State's your team's rival and Texas my team's rival, Texas is going to win. I'm picking Texas.
All right. I think they're going to be good games. I think they're going to be two good games, and it's going to be interesting.
Battles. No blowouts here. No blowouts.
And I know Texas is in the SEC. I get that, but I don't see them as a SEC team
Big 12 team.
yet. So it makes me very happy that the SEC is not in it anymore. All right, something else in college football that maybe you paid attention to, maybe you did. In the FCS championship, North Dakota State beat Montana State 35-32. That is, I think, their 10th championship in like 14 years.
They have a good program down there.
They do. They play in
Who's going to North Dakota?
The Fargo Dome. Here's my question to you, and you have no idea. I don't have an idea, but let's just talk about it for a second. Why in FCS are the very good teams in North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, and Idaho?
And then typically in the FBS, It's your southern schools.
Right.
Texas.
Is it because there's
Alabama.
nothing else to do there?
I don't know.
Or there's not a big school there?
How do you recruit to go to play football in negative weather?
Like, even if you're a really good player, if you're from Florida or whatever, are you even thinking about North Dakota State? I mean, maybe because they're really good right now, but like that's there's not much there.
No.
And it's cold.
It's
a lot.
Very cold. Wind chills in the minus 20s and 30s.
Like,
stupid cold.
Why are they so good? Like, because like
Montana State? Who's going to Montana State?
Montana State was undefeated this year. Up until the championship game.
Right.
Montana's normally good. North Dakota is normally pretty good. South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits. Yeah. South Dakota State. North Dakota State obviously is really good. Jeez. Idaho dropped down, and all of a sudden they got decent. The Vandals. I mean, like, why are those teams good? I mean, there's other teams that are in the playoffs, and they never get to the finals. Like, it's always these teams.
I don't understand. There's definitely somebody's built a program there, but you're right. How do you get recruits to go up there? How are you going to leave Florida or Texas and go to
I mean, are they just sitting there and just recruiting North Dakota and South Dakota?
No way.
And being like, listen, there's not an FBS school here, so just stay here.
I wish I could go see the roster right now to see where these guys are from, because there's no way they're all from up there. North Dakota, South Dakota.
Let's see.
Or are they recruiting
here we go.
Nebraska boys?
It's not. Okay.
You got the roster?
Quarterbacks were from New York, Illinois, Iowa, and Nebraska.
Wow.
I mean, this is their thing. Nebraska, Minnesota, North Dakota, Minnesota, North Dakota, Minnesota. Okay. But then Indiana, Illinois, Iowa. Ooh, they got somebody from Florida. Minnesota, North Dakota, Minnesota, North Dakota, North Dakota. So a lot of them. Midwest Colorado, guys. North Dakota, but then a couple Texases. But then it is a lot of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota.
So there's some good football players up there that apparently the University of Minnesota is not getting.
But then
Nebraska's not getting them because they're winning 6 games.
There's a South Dakota. It is mostly northern guys. Yep. It is mostly northern. But that's their offense.
Why are they not going to Nebraska? Why are they not going to Minnesota? Like, why are they not going to these Division I or FBS schools?
Well, they got another guy from Florida.
Is it?
They got another. There's 3 guys on their defense from Florida.
Okay. Who's going up there from Florida? You're crazy.
From Lakeland.
That's what, hour away from us?
Yeah, Tampa.
That's crazy.
But most of them are okay. So they're just finding the diamonds in the rough in the northern states and just getting good.
Or are these the guys going to sit for 2, maybe 3 years at Bama or somewhere like that, or Ohio State or Michigan, and they're like, I'm not going to sit for 3 years. I'm going to go play right now and win a national title at the FCS level. There's some of that too out there. I bet you North Dakota State could beat a lot of FBS.
They have. I think in the last 6 games against FCS teams, they're 4-2.
Right. So they have.
FBS teams. Sorry.
They have talent. They have coaching.
There's some grumblings about them wanting to move up, but at the same time,
Why would you?
I think some of them are like they're getting bored.
Stop it. Stop. No, you're not getting bored.
Would you get bored?
No. Winning championships? No. I mean, you want to challenge yourself. Okay, maybe skip a year of recruiting. See what happens. Just take walk-ons.
I mean, this year they did lose to Colorado, but they lost to Colorado by 5.
They lost to Colorado by 5.
And then they lost to South Dakota by 1.
Wow. So they played with the Deion's Buffs.
They did. They lost 31-26, opening game of the year, and they were up 20-14 in the second quarter.
That's basically.
They only scored 6 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, in the second half. That's what they scored 20 in the first half, though. They're up 20-14 on them.
Wow, that's good football, dude.
They're up 20-17 at halftime.
They might have coaches that develop players.
Well, they're doing something right.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of things right up there. Congrats to North Dakota State there.
10 championships in 14 years. Sorry.
That's not bad. They're getting
That's pretty good. All right.
Let's give someone else a chance. Go recruit somewhere else.
The Montana State Bobcats wanted to win a championship.
Yeah, let them have one.
Yeah, the Bison.
That can't be stopped.
Pretty good. Green and gold.
I don't like it. You like green.
I like green. The gold, though, makes me think of the Packers too. Speaking of the Packers, they made it. Let's twist over to the NFL playoffs that is set. There wasn't a lot of surprises going into last week. There's surprises at the beginning of the week. So, right. But before we get into like our picks to begin the year and how it changed, Do you think the Chiefs did a disservice to the NFL by not playing any of their guys and basically letting the Broncos into the playoffs?
Listen, I hate both the Chiefs and the Broncos. And I don't think, and you're talking about they don't want the Bengals to get in type of thing. Right. I don't think the Chiefs play their starters no matter the situation. I don't think that's what I truly believe. I don't think the Chiefs went, you know what? We don't want the Bengals in the playoffs because they could be explosive. We'll let the Broncos get in, or kind of our rivals too. You know, the Chiefs and Broncos, they don't like each other. I don't think it mattered. And I think that's the Chiefs worrying about the Chiefs. We need Patrick Mahomes healthy. We need our guy, Travis Kelce, healthy. We need our guys healthy for the playoffs. As much as it looks like they purposely did it so the Broncos win and the Bengals are out, I don't think it would have mattered the situation.
See, there is that part that you're like, oh, they should have played some guys because it kind of seems a little bit whatever.
Right.
But let's just go back kind of with our college football argument. If the Bengals wanted to get in, win.
Correct. What did they start out? 1-5 or something like that?
Don't put yourself in a position where you have to rely on some other team to win.
Correct.
And at the same time, if you don't want the Chiefs to rest their stars in the fourth quarter, in the last game of the year, beat them.
Go beat them.
They were 15-1. They earned, whether we think they're the best 15-1 team or the worst 15-1 team we've ever seen, they still went 15-1. They earned the right to do whatever they wanted in the last game of the year.
Yeah, and I don't think it mattered the situation. Like I said, I think the Chiefs are sitting their guys no matter what. No matter what.
Yep. All right. In the playoffs, these are the teams in the playoffs, and then we'll get to the games. The first game is the Chargers and the Texans. I 100% had the Chargers in the playoffs, and I had the Texans in the playoffs. Did you have? I can't remember if you had the Chargers.
I did not have the Chargers. I thought it would take Jim Harbaugh a year to get his stuff going. He's done a fantastic job. So, no, I did not have them, but I did have the Texans.
I think I had the Chargers winning the division because I thought the Chiefs wouldn't care enough.
Right.
It almost happened. But,
almost.
I mean, anyways.
Chargers look good.
Steelers and Ravens. I know I had the Ravens in. I think I left the Steelers out because I thought their schedule was going to be too tough.
We both left the Steelers out because their schedule was too up. So, Mike Tomlin, great job there. Like, they've looked really good. And I had the Ravens in there.
Yeah. The Broncos. Neither one of us had the Broncos.
Last year you did, I think, didn't you? Didn't you pick the Broncos last year?
Well, I had them as my surprise team Russell last Wilson, year. And yeah, that.
You were a year off.
I was a year off. Yeah, I was.
You're early. Or you were late.
I've been at least 2 years early with the Bears. We'll see how next year goes. We both had the Bills winning
the Bills.
AFC East. I think we had both winning the AFC East.
Yes.
You had the Jets in there.
I did have the Jets in there. I thought it was a Packers-Jets Super Bowl.
Packers-Eagles. I think we
both had the Eagles.
I think I left the Packers out. You had the Packers going to the Super Bowl. Nobody had the Commanders.
Nope, not at all. Bucks. I had the Bucks.
I picked the Falcons.
I had the Bucks.
I remember the Falcons, which almost got in.
Yep.
But they blew the game against the Panthers, and the Bucks came back and won that game. I don't think neither one of us had the Vikings.
Because of Sam Darnold.
Neither one of us had the Rams.
Sam Darnold was the reason we didn't pick the
Vikings. We both whiffed on the 49ers. I know for sure we had the 49ers. Yeah, 49ers. I thought the Bears were going to be better. I put them in the playoffs.
Jets.
You put the Jets in the playoffs. That was a bad call. I had the Bengals going to the Super Bowl. So I missed the AFC. We both missed AFC completely.
It was bad.
But our NFC's picks are still in because the Lions got the bye. We both had the Lions getting in.
Correct.
And the Chiefs got the bye. We both had the Chiefs getting in. So we were ish. We were about 60-40, 60-40 maybe, something like that. It's not bad, especially considering the Vikings, Rams, Commanders, and Broncos came out of nowhere.
I'm telling you right now, nobody had all those teams.
No way. No, the Steelers was a team maybe we should have seen in.
That schedule was hard, though.
And the Bucs wasn't a bad pick. I thought the Falcons were going to do it. I thought Kirk Cousins was going to be better for him, which he was for like 3 games.
He had some good games.
And then he was really, really bad.
And he got hurt.
All right, let's get into the games, like the actual picks. So apparently whenever the Texans get in and play in a wild card, they play on Saturday at 3:30 or 4:30.
Every time.
Every single time. Yep. And guess what? They're playing a Saturday at 4:30. They have not looked good at all recently, and the Chargers have played pretty well. They whipped up on your Raiders there that last game. The Raiders decided to play well for like a half, and then the Chargers just whipped them in the second half.
Yeah,
I don't think the Texans have enough, especially, I know they left Stephon Diggs a while ago, but C.J. Stroud has not been playing great.
Not like he was last year.
I think the Chargers win this game. And their defense plays pretty well. I like the Chargers in the game. They had the Chargers as a 3-point favorite on the road.
Correct.
I think the Chargers cover.
Yeah. Defense travels. You're absolutely right. That Chargers defense is fantastic on turnovers and efficiency. Chargers are going to win this game. I just think they have a better coach and the quarterback position too. I think C.J. Stroud's a nice story, but Herbert's going to get it done. I think Jim Harbaugh's done a great job. He's at least a year early on my pick to get that done. So
the Saturday night game is one of those games you like seeing. The Steelers and Ravens, they hate each other.
Division teams, I kind of don't like that, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, it is what it is. The Steelers, Russell Wilson has gone back to playing like the Denver Broncos.
Days,
Russell Wilson. Lamar Jackson, listen, he was fantastic this year.
Maybe MVP.
Yeah, he won the Offensive Player of the Year over Josh Allen. I still think Josh Allen should get the MVP. I think he might get the MVP because there's MVP fatigue with some guys sometimes, and Lamar's already won it twice.
Right.
Same reason why Jordan didn't win it every single year with the Bulls. Because he could have. I think the Steelers keep this close, but the Ravens have way too much right now, and they're playing a lot better than the Steelers are. I think the Steelers win. The Ravens win. It's a 9.5 point spread.
I think that's too high.
I think it's 7.
Yeah, I think 9.5 is too high. The Steelers have had a rough schedule. Mike Tomlin's done a great job. This is a matchup though that Lamar's comfortable with this team. He's familiar with this team. They're at home. He's not going to Lamar Jackson make crazy, stupid plays. He might, but I think they're going to overcome this. But it's closer than 9.5.
Yeah, I agree. We're both in the same. So we both agree.
And I got the Ravens going always.
On Saturday, it's going to be Chargers and Ravens. Yep. Agree? All right.
Chargers, Ravens.
The first game on Sunday is the Broncos. Nice story, slipping in. Bo Nix has played well. They've basically done it without a running game. They're playing the Bills, who look pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I know they lost to the Patriots, but the last week Josh Allen didn't play. And I think they wanted to make sure Jared Mayo got fired. But
apparently.
The Bills are pretty darn good as long as they don't have Russ. But I think this is a good game that even if they have a little bit of Russ, they're okay. The line is 8.5. I don't think that's enough. I think the Bills win by double digits.
Yes. Broncos, congratulations. You snuck in.
Good job.
You beat the Chiefs for their second loss of the year, but you get to go to Buffalo and get beat up.
Can I say one thing about the Broncos before we move on to the next game? They need to permanently go back to those
the old orange with the blue helmets. 100%.
I know you don't like the Broncos, but those
I can't
look
argue
good.
with it. Yes,
those look really, really good.
When I watch that game, I'm like, all right, this brings me back.
It's
I
so
love
good.
Those uniforms.
It's so good.
Yeah, they're good.
And it gives you a little bit of like individuality. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody's
that close. Yeah. Like when you go to the Navy colors, a lot of teams are Navy, and there's some orange in there.
Right.
But you go to that, like that's the Broncos.
Yes, 100%.
Just like the Buccaneers, if they would go back to the creamsicles.
Fantastic.
It just makes teams sticks out a little bit more, but in a good way. Like when the Seattle Seahawks come out in those like lime green uniforms,
ones.
That sticks them out in a bad way. Go back to these like just classic uniforms that are good. Yeah. Like not every classic uniform is good, but
there's certain ones.
That is great.
Broncos, Buccaneers,
yeah.
Those are
like the Eagles need to go back. We're about to talk to them
to that Kelly green. Yes, so I don't like green, but go back. Go back.
So good with the gray and the Kelly green. So good. Speaking of the Eagles, they're playing the Packers. They played each other in Week 1 in Brazil. The Eagles won that game.
We got quarterback problems here in this game.
We got quarterback problems on both sides. Because Jalen Hurts, and as we tape it right now, is still in concussion protocol.
Correct.
And apparently he's got a finger injury or something like that too. Jordan Love hit his – that was pretty good. We did that at the exact same time. Hit his elbow on the helmet of the guy, and they're lost to the Bears.
That's correct. The Bears pulled out the victory.
Real quick, aside, the Bears and Packers were both 1-5 in the NFC North this year.
Wow.
The Bears were worse overall, but they're both 1-5. And actually, the Bears had a blocked field goal away from sweeping the Packers. The Packers almost went winless in the NFC North.
That NFC North is tough.
It is. All right, go back to the game.
You got three teams in the playoffs.
In there, yeah. And we thought for a second maybe the Bears, but then
4 teams.
Whatever. Oh, my God. And then the Packers also lost Christian Watson. He tore his ACL in the last week, which that's unfortunate. But they still have Josh Jacobs. He's pretty good. But the Eagles have this guy named Saquon Barkley.
He's having a good year.
Yeah, he was pretty good too.
Listen, it's in Philly. If this was in Lambeau, maybe I'd go with the Packers. But if Jalen Hurts doesn't play, Packers win. Because that Packers backup, is it Malik Willis?
Willis, yeah.
I think he's serviceable. He can do enough. And like you said, they have Josh Jacobs, even though the Eagles have Barkley. but it's in Philly. I think Jalen Hurts will be back. Jalen Hurts come back. I think the Packers are in trouble. Although I did pick them to go to the Super Bowl, I'm going to pick them again.
All right. If you really look at the Packers' schedule this year, they didn't beat anybody good.
Right, here we go.
Somebody were trying to say, well, they beat the Seahawks.
Seahawks.
They beat the Texans. I know the Texans made the playoffs. They
beat the Bears.
They beat the Bears. Like they're a good team. They're a nice team. I think if the Eagles play well at all,
they'll win this one.
I think they win this game.
Boy, they didn't play well. Was it last year against the Bucs?
Well, they didn't play well for like the last 7 games of the year. It was one of the biggest collapses I've ever seen.
They're playing much better. If Jordan Love's healthy, if Jalen Hurts is healthy, I'm going Pack 100%. But if Jalen Hurts is healthy and Jordan Love's not, I think the Eagles will win. I don't know.
I think if the Eagles have Hurts, and I'm not saying he's the difference maker, but he's better than Kenny Pickett,
correct,
or whoever the other guy was. No. I don't even know who the other guy was.
The Eagles' backups are not as.
If Hurts is out, the Packers are the favorite.
Correct, regardless of if Love plays or not.
But and then they're just because honestly, if I'm the Packers and Hurts is out, I load the box up on Saquon. I probably load the box anyway.
Yep. Now, if you're the Eagles and Jalen is iffy, let's say he gets cleared, but you're not sure about him. Do you think you can win this game without him? Because otherwise, you risk him getting hurt again, and then he's definitely.
I don't know what you.
That's a tough one because I don't know if you can win without him though.
Yeah, the Commanders and the Buccaneers play the night game, so there's 3 games on Sunday. So you have the Broncos, Bills. We picked the Bills. You picked the Packers. I picked the Eagles. The second game, the late game, night game, Sunday night is Commanders at Buccaneers. It's in Tampa. Yep. Which like. The Buccaneers have to play better than a half, but at the same time, the Commanders kind of done the same exact thing. Correct. I could see this game honestly being like 24-0 and then at the end of the game being like 30-27. Like literally could
for sure
because both these quarterbacks get about as hot as anybody.
But then they
get white hot
implode
for like a quarter and a half, like just crazy hot,
crazy,
and then they look just awful for a quarter or two. So, if you think you have a good handle on this game, you're lying to me.
Oh, nobody knows.
Like I think this is the biggest coin flip of the weekend.
This might be the most fun game to watch. Or the most awful game to watch.
Like the over/under is 50.5, and I could see it either way. I could see this game being 30 points. I could see this game being 80 points.
What quarterbacks show up?
Yeah,
they're both kind of bipolar.
Because there's times when they both look like they could be MVPs of the league.
Yeah.
And there's times they're like, should they be playing?
I think the difference could be Mike Evans for the Bucs. The Commanders don't really have a Mike.
Hey, congratulations to Mike Evans for getting 1,000 yards for 11th straight season. Did you see how he did it too?
No, I didn't see that.
The Buccaneers had the ball late with like 40 seconds left. They could have kneeled on it, but they ran a play so he could get it. It was pretty cool. You can't get mad at it. Yeah.
Got me some more fantasy points, bro.
You weren't even playing. You already won. Yes, you won. Yes, you won our league.
Yes, I did.
Thank you. Right. Thank you for winning the league because CeeDee Lamb was out. Awesome.
Hey, I had Chuba Hubbard out. I brought the backup in. And he got me 0 points.
I brought a backup in. He got me 3 points. Oh, man. All right,
Commanders.
What you pick? I'm going Bucks because it's at Tampa.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels, great story. Good job this year. I just don't think you have enough for your first playoff. I think it changes when you're in the playoffs. And Bucks have been there. Bucks have a win. Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans is a better combo than Daniels and Luke McCaffrey or whoever they got over there.
Zacchaeus. They have Zacchaeus. That's the guy I should have picked up because he scored 23 points. I beat you.
Oh, dang.
I picked the Bucks, but the Commanders could win this game by 20.
It's true.
I'm not kidding.
For sure. Baker Mayfield could be awful because he can.
And Jaden Daniels could be that good.
Just light him up.
I don't know.
I think Mike Evans is the difference.
Monday night game, because they've been doing this Monday night game since they added a playoff team. The Vikings go to the Rams. Fun fact, the Vikings, last time, they lost 3 games this year. 2 of them to the Lions. The last time they lost to the Lions, the team they played directly after the Lions was
the Rams.
The Rams, and guess what happened?
They lose?
They lost to the Rams.
Interesting. Good. That's a fun fact.
Fact.
Good stat. Sam Darnold.
Literally the next week, lost him.
Sam Darnold's your guy.
He's
the guy.
The Lions hit him and hit him a lot.
They beat him up.
And he was seeing ghost again.
Right. The old Sam Darnold.
That was the old Sam Darnold.
Can the Rams do that?
But at the same time, I don't know if you watched that game. Did you watch the Vikings Lions game?
No, I didn't watch it.
All right. I think Dan Campbell got into I can't remember his name, the Vikings head coach's head because that dude went for on fourth down like 3 times inside the 10 when he probably should have.
Yeah.
And they're winning. The Vikings are winning at halftime. Instead, they were down 10-6 or 10-9 at halftime, and then they just
didn't do anything
in the second half. It kind of hurts when you give up 4 touchdowns to Jahmyr Gibbs too.
Yeah. Well, the Lions are pretty good. They're not playing. The Rams aren't playing the Lions. The Vikings aren't playing the Lions. I just still don't trust Sam Darnold. I do trust Justin Jefferson.
I do. Do you trust Matt Stafford?
He's got some experience back there, but does he have any weapons to go around?
I mean, he's got Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, but they didn't really do much towards the end of the year.
This is a tough
Williams,
one, too. Sam Darnold in the playoffs on the road, which is crazy that they got to go on the road.
Yeah, they're 14-3, and they have to go on the road. They're the 5th seed.
Well, it's because they're the 3rd seed in their freaking division.
Should they? They're the 2nd.
They're 2nd. Oh yeah.
Should they change the things? Maybe go to where if you win the division, you're automatically in, but then seed it by record. I think they should.
Right, because I don't think the Vikings should have to play a road game against a 10-7 team.
Right.
That doesn't when they're 14-3.
I mean, at least it's not an 8-9 team, which is possible, and this happened before.
True, that's.
But
wild.
You're right. You go 14-3 in a season.
Hey, now you're going on the road.
That's and you could sit on the road the whole playoffs.
Correct, depending on how
because if you win this game and the higher seeds hold, you go play the Lions again.
Good luck.
All right,
who you got?
Vikings.
I think so too. I think Justin Jefferson's the difference maker in this.
I just don't think the Rams have enough. If the Rams were of, maybe last year when Aaron Donald was there, that I think it makes a difference. But the Rams don't even have a home field advantage because there's probably going to be more Vikings fans there.
Yeah, Vikings win that.
Now that the NFL is out, do you want to change? We made some picks a couple weeks ago, and I said the Lions and the Bills. And now that the bracket is out, I'm sticking with the Lions and the Bills. By the way, the Lions if their defense plays anywhere as good as they did against the Vikings, that team.
And I don't know
who beats them. I don't know who beats them.
I don't understand how their defense is playing so good.
They have
a ton of guys.
They had that Anzalone, which I didn't even know who the guy was, but the dude had a metal plate in his arm and like a little cast. Still played amazing.
Insane.
If a white dude's out there with that long hair at his linebacker position. Like, there's so many guys that are just they're good.
It's crazy.
I think
it's gonna be tough.
I think it's gonna be tough to beat the Lions, and at Ford Field.
Yeah, good luck,
dude. It's the first time they've ever had the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Really? Well, yeah. Have they even made the conference championship?
Yeah, last year they made it last year.
Oh, that's right.
They were winning at halftime. People were looking at flights already because
some
of our friends were.
Bummer.
Yeah. What do you think? Who's your picks now? Now that the bracket is out,
because I early preseason I was going to pick the Packers and Jets. That's not. No, obviously Jets are out. I like my Ravens.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago you said Packers Chiefs,
and
a Super Bowl rematch at Super Bowl 1.
I'm going to stick with that. You're right. It's because the Lions defense is so just beat up. I'll probably have to change my pick after the Eagles beat them, but I'm going to stick with the Packers and Chiefs. I just think the Chiefs' defense has been playing ridiculous all year long.
Yeah, but they're going to have to run to the Bills.
They have to run to the Bills again, and maybe the Ravens. Who knows?
I'm still going Bills, Lions, in the highest rated Super Bowl in the history of
and then the destruction of one of those cities, Detroit or Buffalo.
If Buffalo wins the Super Bowl, there will be no tables left. If the Lions win the Super Bowl, there's not going to be any Detroit left.
Detroit is going to burn down.
I mean,
no, that Super Bowl would be fun. Don't get me wrong. That Super Bowl would be really fun.
And that game could be like they played a little bit ago, and the final score was like 42-38 or something like that. So
that game's going to be fun. I hope that's kind of where it goes because it keeps the Chiefs out of it. But until someone beats the Chiefs, I don't know.
I get it. But then at the same time, one of those teams finally wins the Super Bowl too.
Well, that would be nice. Because they both have had their. I mean, the Lions have never been there,
right?
And then the Bills, of course, are 0-4.
They've been there 4 times in a row, and they lost all 4 times.
And they got blown out a couple times.
They should have won.
They should have won the first one.
They should have won
against
the first game against
the Giants.
The Giants, yes, yeah.
Scott Norwood.
Yeah, he missed it.
Hey.
I told you I worked for a guy who was on that Giants team, right?
Really?
Yeah.
He mentioned that.
Yeah, he was an offensive lineman for that team. I asked him how he felt during that game. He's like, we did all this for nothing when the guy lined up. And then I said, well, how'd you feel when you missed it? He's like, holy.
It was all worth it.
I can't believe you missed it.
Right.
Because that was.
He can't believe it. Scott Norwood can't believe it.
No, that was interesting. But yeah, Super Bowl champion. That ring was huge.
That was the Bills' best chance. And after that, I think they ended up getting blown out by Cowboys and Niners.
Well, the Redskins. Yeah. Not the Niners. The Redskins.
They never played the Niners.
The Redskins beat them the next year.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Redskins beat them the first year.
No, Giants beat them
the first year?
With Norwood. I'm almost positive it was.
And then they lost twice to the Cowboys. One was close, one was not.
No, they got blown out.
One was like 52-14 or 16. That was a Leon Lett game.
Oh, that's right. When Don Beebe chased him down?
Don Beebe with the original Guardian cap.
Yes. Chased him down. Just a hustle play.
Don Beebe was like half the size of Leon Lett.
Right.
Running him down.
So they went, 90, 91, 92, 93, those years?
I don't know. You reeled them off.
Well, 90 was the Giants and 91 was the Redskins. 92, 93 was the Cowboys. So I thought it was maybe – no, you're right. It had to be 90 because they played the Giants that first year.
Let's see here. We've done this before, but let's go back to it.
It was 90, 91, 92, 93. It had to be.
All right. You said 90, 91, 92?
93, those 4 years.
It was 91, 92, 93, 94.
January of it.
Well, yeah, January. Yeah. So, yeah, they lost to the Giants first 20-19, lost to the Redskins 37-24. The first game against Cowboys was 52-17. The second one was 30-13. I thought the second one was closer, but it wasn't.
Even that game against the Redskins wasn't too bad.
It wasn't.
That first year, for some reason, that first year against the Giants, that was their best chance to win. They had a great team. Andre Reed, James Lofton, Thurman Thomas.
Jim Kelly.
But Bruce Smith, Cornelius Bennett on the defense. Like, they had guys.
It was good. The Giants had
Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah, that guy was a freak.
Phil Simms.
So good. Redskins just got, stupid
That was Mark Rippon played, I think, that year, but got hurt. Doug Williams
did it, and then the Cowboys were just ridiculous.
Wow,
Cowboys won 3 in 4 years, and then haven't won one since.
So they did 92-93 season and 95 season.
They won 92-93 and then 95, yeah. And the Niners won, and they beat the Chargers. That's when the Chargers made it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that Charger. Who was the quarterback on that Chargers team?
Was that
Philip
Brister?
It wasn't Rivers yet at that Chargers. Who was it?
Bubby Brister?
Jeez, was he on there?
No, I don't know. Let's see if I can figure this out.
Who was that Chargers? Neil O'Donnell.
Oh, you pulled that out. You're right. Neil O'Donnell.
Was the quarterback of that Chargers team.
That was final statistics. Let's see if I can players. No, it wasn't Neil O'Donnell. It was not. It was Stan Humphries.
Oh, God.
Who was the quarterback for the 49ers?
That'd be Steve Young.
Yeah. How many touchdowns did he throw that game?
He had to throw one to Jerry Rice, didn't he?
No, how many did he throw? How many
total? 2.
6.
Jesus.
6.
That's got to be the record, doesn't it?
It's probably pretty close. They won 49-26. That was famously when they acted like they took the monkey off his back.
That was the monkey. Yeah, because he hadn't won one since Joe Montana was there.
Because Joe Montana was good.
He was decent. Jerry Rice was on those teams there, so it was okay.
Yeah, Clark, the tight end.
Roger Craig, Tom Rathman.
See, this is when the NFL's good all year, but this is when it kind of gets fun. You get in the playoffs and stuff like that.
Because I don't say what you want, but during the regular season, some guys are going to take days off or plays off and things like that. Playoffs come around, they're in it to win it, 110%.
Here, play to win the game.
We play to win the game,
as Herm Edwards would say. That was a regular season game, though.
He was with the Jets then, wasn't he?
Yeah. You get all those great sound bites, we play to win the game, the playoffs from Jim Mora.
Jim Mora had a few of them.
Playoffs?
Are you kidding me? We couldn't do diddly poo. We don't have those sound bites, I feel like, as much.
We don't. Or when Dennis Green went off, when the Bears came back and beat him. They aren't who we thought they were.
We let them off the hook.
Yeah, we don't.
We don't have that.
There's not those guys.
And Mike Gundy for Oklahoma State. I'm a man. I'm 40. Come after me. Like, that was a good one.
But even then, that was about 10 years ago.
That's a long time ago.
Herm Edwards did a couple. We need a bunch of dogs.
Yeah,
we don't need cats. We don't meow.
We just don't get those clips anymore like that.
I don't even know who would go off like that anymore.
I can't even think.
Oh, speaking of, before we go, they're talking about candidates. Rex Ryan is interviewing back for the Jets, and he's basically already spouting off how that's my job. I'm the best guy for it. I need it, and I'm going to end the country club little charade for Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my gosh, Rex Ryan's still around?
Just shut up.
Like Tom Brady reached out to Bill Belichick about the Raiders gig.
Did he?
Yeah, I heard Belichick said no. He's staying in. Obviously he's in North Carolina. And then you got Mike McCarthy.
They denied him. They denied it. Supposedly the Bears are gonna they just got done interviewing Mike Vrabel. I'd be very happy with that.
Okay, that's good.
And they've also said they're gonna maybe try and interview Campbell from Iowa State.
Okay.
I don't know.
Deion to the Raiders with his son as the draft pick? Oh my gosh.
You don't want Deion there, do you?
I don't know.
You don't want Deion
there. I probably don't. It could be it's a show every week, like it's a performance every week.
I mean, it's the right place for him to go.
Vegas would be perfect for Deion. And I don't know if his boy's NFL material yet or not. He's a good quarterback.
He's a good quarterback.
I don't know.
I could
John Gruden back.
No, he's not.
Third time?
He's not going to the Raiders. I could see Deion trying to swing it to go there and getting Travis Hunter and his son there.
Right. If he could pull that off.
I don't know how you do that.
I don't think he could get Hunter. He could get Shedeur with the first pick.
Right.
Because the Raiders are far enough down now.
You'd have to trade
Hunter.
someone.
You would have to give up some guys to get Travis Hunter.
I don't know, but anyways, it's a lot of great football coming up this weekend.
College football, Final Four, NFL playoffs starting. Like it's fun, but I'm sad it's coming to.
I know
it's coming to an end here in a month.
To an end, but it's going to be a lot of good football. We will come back next week. We will talk about the semifinals.
Who's left?
And we'll break down the divisional playoffs for the NFL. A lot of football still to talk about, even though it's coming to a close. But until next time, I'm Adam.
I'm Tony. Thanks for listening.